All right, welcome into another episode of 4th and 5 presented by Ortho Arkansas. And I got the man himself, Grant Cook, here with me. And Grant, we are going to talk a little bit about this Texas football team. And viewers, if you're curious about what we got on the menu today, since I have the chef in here, let's get right to it. We're going to talk about Taylan's health. Is he healthy or not? He got banged up against Ole Miss, couldn't finish the game. We're going to also get to, is Texas for real? Their schedule is not very impressive at all, with the most impressive win being a Vanderbilt team. We're going to talk more about that. We're also going to get into right now, Oakland. It's interesting. The number, as far as the spread is concerned, it's getting lower and lower and lower. What's going on? What do people know about this Texas-Arkansas game that is starting to shift the odds towards Arkansas's favor? It's very interesting things going on right now. Rivalry games, Grant, they're a little bit different. They're built different. And I will say, when it comes to Texas, I just want to, it's that week, man. It's that week.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, it's a rekindling of a long-time rivalry. So that's super cool. Have Texas coming back in, beat the brakes off of them last time I heard that. So why don't we do it again, huh?
Yeah.
Let's shock the college football world. They want to see Texas in the playoff. Let's go spoil it.
Oh my! You know what that just reminded me of? That how bad I just want to knock those Texas players right in their teeth. That's the mindset. All right, I got to go get something real quick. The good thing about doing stuff like this is we're gonna do some magic. I'm gonna edit it. It's gonna be like I've never left. All right, I'll be right back. Hold on a second. I'm so out of shape. All right, wasn't that so fast? Oh, my gosh. All right, I'm back. This is what I wanted to show y'all. I told you we're going to start handing out baseball bats, all right? If people lay the wood, all right? And I'm a man of my word. Now, I will say this, Grant. When I ordered this, I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger. It's about the size of an overgrown chopstick. I really thought it was going to be a lot bigger, but it is what it is, all right? We got our baseball bats. So this is for our safety, Johnson, who laid the wood against Ole Miss, the tight end. So this is what we did. I engraved that tight end's name on the bat with his number in the quarter and time of when he got the wood laid on him. So right now, I'm going to be sending this to our players, and they're going to hopefully put them in their lockers as trophies for people that lay the wood. So I'm hoping I'm going to be sending a lot of bats. Sorry, I'm tired. I had to run around the house look for this dang bat. And I get this isn't really like you. We're going to work on the size of this bat, okay? But it's week one. We're trying to figure it out. Got to bring the juice against Texas. All right, so let's set the tone. All right, I already had the lineup. So beyond that, we have to get back to some serious stuff. Taylan Green, is our guy healthy? And I'll be honest, Grant, if he's not healthy, this may not be a popular opinion within the program. I know it is for the fans. If he's not 100%, I honestly would like to see Malachi Singleton maybe get a little bit more of a nod, just simply because, escapability, the type of offense we run, you have to be mobile. It's not your classic Petrino sit in the pocket. You got guys running around with the read option. So I brought in Kurt Reynolds from Ortho Arkansas to really take a look at that play and give his opinion about exactly what is going on with Taylan's knee.
All right, so let's get right into Taylan's injury. If you go back and watch the play, he was scrambling. He was coming to his right. The Ole Miss defender was coming in, and he plants with his right leg. And then he gets rolled up on and sort of spun underneath the defender. The announcers say that it was his left knee that got rolled up. But if you look at how he's walking, if you look at the previous plays, he's got a brace on his right knee. And going back and watching this play, when he plants with his right leg to cut back to his left and try to avoid that Ole Miss defender who was diving at him, you can see in slow motion his knee kind of shifts. You get just this little click move of the knee. And then the defensive guy that tackles him rolls up on him, kind of hyperflexes the knee. His foot's rotated against the turf. And so that really stresses that MCL or that ligament on the inside of the knee. So when I go back and look at this play, I really think he probably has a sprain or an injury to the MCL, which is called the medial collateral ligament. That's the ligament on the inside of the knee that goes from the thigh bone to the shin bone. And basically, it prevents the knee from becoming knock-kneed, for lack of a better term. That's a very common injury that we see in linemen. It's one of the reasons that you see linemen wearing knee braces during every game, because those braces can really help to protect the MCL. The good news about MCL tears or MCL sprains is that most of them heal without surgery, but they're also very painful. And you could see throughout the rest of the game that Taylan was just a step slower. You could see him get sacked a couple series later where he just doesn't really trust planting that right knee or that right foot behind him to power through his throws. You see him scramble to the left side of the line, and he just immediately goes down because he doesn't have the strength or the stability in that knee to really plant and really change directions aggressively. So, watching this film, that's what I think is going on with him. I think he probably has an injury to the medial collateral ligament of his right knee, which honestly, in a right-handed quarterback, especially a scrambling quarterback, that's going to be a tough injury because it does really limit some of that power he's able to develop in his hips and be able to generate that power in the passing game. And obviously, in someone that's as talented as him, escaping the pocket, getting downfield, and making defenders miss, it's going to be something that he's got to really work on this week in the bye week. And hopefully, they had him in a lot of therapy, a lot of training, and really working with the training staff, which is excellent there to get him ready for Texas, because I think we're certainly going to need him.
All right, always appreciate Kurt Reynolds coming in from Ortho Arkansas. And yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens exactly with Taylan moving forward. I guess we'll find out come kickoff against those shorthorns from Austin, Texas. But Grant, let's go ahead and get into this film. And you and I, we talked before this. We saw a couple clips, and what I have honestly seen from Texas is a team that really hasn't played anybody. And when they have played somebody, it hasn't looked good. You can see against that Georgia game, a lot of people talk about Georgia manhandled them. They didn't even talk about the aspect that Georgia threw picks to start off the game, multiple picks, and Texas couldn't capitalize on them. And then once they started bringing all this pressure, you could see the quarterback get super timid in the pocket, giving up sacks, taking sacks when he didn't need to. And the thing when you see stuff like that, Grant, you got guys that when they come across dudes who are able to dial it up and be more competitive, they get a little rattled. And you saw it in the faces of those quarterbacks against Georgia. And then you take a look at the most impressive win that Texas has had this year is against Vanderbilt. Now, I'm not going to knock Vanderbilt. They've had an incredible year for Vanderbilt standards. But even in the games we saw against them, it's just – I'm just not buying this Texas hype. I'm really not, man. But I sent you a couple clips to look at, because the thing we hear about this Texas team is how talented they are up front, not giving up a lot of sacks. One of the best offensive lines in the country, very sound defense, very sound offense. What are some things you're seeing when you're looking at the tape?
Yeah, so, not giving up a lot of sacks, I don't know is like the best way to define how great an offensive line is. Of course, it plays into it, right? I mean, you don't want your quarterback on the ground. That's like offensive line 101. But in the same breath, it also has a lot to do with how the offense functions. And, if you look at when Quinn's in the game, or really just how Sarkisian's offense flows, they're very quick and get the ball out. And so the defense doesn't have a lot of opportunity to get to the quarterback just based off of how quickly the ball is coming out of his hand. And so to their benefit, they've got some really talented wide receivers and some really talented skill guys that work really well in space. So, if you're playing off of them and they throw a little flare out there or whatever it may be, getting that ball into the hands of the playmakers is what they want to do. And so I don't think Quinn's strength is throwing the ball downfield, standing tall in the pocket, 7-step drop, and really letting the receivers get down there. And so that plays into an offensive line looking maybe a lot better than what they actually are. And so, I'm going to be interested to watch this game and see what Travis Williams does to adapt to that, because if we're getting the ball out quick, if I'm Texas, sometimes blitzes aren't going to get home. And what do blitzes do, right? They leave the back end of the defense exposed a little bit. And their strength of their offense is their receivers. I know Quinn Ewers he deserves his credit. Obviously, Arch Manning on the come up as well and had some good games this year. And Quinn's been hurt. But, I've watched several clips of Texas, and I've watched some of their games live throughout the year. Yeah, and I agree. I don't know if they've just not played anyone, so they look really, really good, or are they actually that good? Are they a top 3, top 4, top 5 team? And what can we do to expose some of this offense?
The good thing about everything you're saying is, Grant, is the question that is just remained to be answered is, what is the true value of this team? How good are they? And I'm going to be honest, we're not the experts in really breaking down Texas football because we're not there every day. We don't know what is happening inside the locker room. However, when it comes to knowing the value of timber, we got a great sponsor. I'll tell you that, man. I mean, you can't miss with the guys we got on board making this breakdown possible. Tell me a little bit about our friends over there at DDK.
Hey, you nailed it right on the head. So talking about value, talking about appraisals, our friends at DDK, specifically Michael Martyr, he's been at DDK for 20 years. So DJ, back when we were on the gridiron, he was up there at DDK out there getting the appraisals done. And so here's the unique thing, right? Appraising forestry is it's not like getting a house appraised. I mean, you can't just call anyone up and have them come out there and they know the value of what you've got. It takes a highly specialized person to come out and really tell you kind of the story behind the trees, right? What can you do with this land? And Michael at DDK is the guy to give a call. So if you're looking to sell, or if you're looking just to understand what you got, get with them. We'll put the link to DDK's website down in the bio of this, or down in the comments of it, so you can go look if you've got some land that you want them to come out and just give you an idea of what you got going. Like I said, super unique. It's a skill set that not every appraiser has. So make sure that you're using the right folks when you go to do that. And it's kind of like offensive line, DJ.
Yeah.
When an appraiser gets it right, a lot of times people, it just kind of goes unnoticed. But if they get it wrong, you can look really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, go trust our friends at DDK. They know what they're doing, and they've got that unique skill set.
Hey, there's a difference between looking bad and looking like a badass, all right? So these videos that we show while we do all this is actual footage of our folks over there at DDK. And you see the dude over here with the fire and all that good stuff? That's Michael, all right? He's out there doing his thing, all right? So you want to deal with a dude who's a dude. Michael's the way to go. I had to show Michael some love, especially when it comes to that clip. All right, now let's shift to the dudes here on the gridiron. Grant, what are you seeing up front? I believe we're going to start with Texas on offense. Are we looking at their offensive line or defensive line first?
Yeah. We'll jump into the offensive line side of things. So this is against Georgia, and I think you alluded to it a little earlier. It's 17-0 halfway through the second quarter where we're going to pick this up. And guys, it's 17-0, and Georgia's first 2 possessions were interceptions, and Texas did nothing with it. So a little bit I want to talk about is where I think there may be some opportunities for our guys, Landon Jackson, Quincy Rhodes, some of those guys that are coming off the end, is this right tackle, okay? I believe it's number 56. Big, tall guy. We talked about flat sets, and he takes a flat set, gets beat around the edge, causes Quinn Ewers to flushes right into the hands of the guys that were up front. Now, we've got to play sound assignment defense against a team like Texas because they are going to be where they're supposed to be, both offensively and defensively. So we've got to make some plays up there. We can't get really, really good pressure off the end on number 56, and then no one's up front to gather up the quarterback when he tries to break the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are the things that we are trying to do here is as we move forward with the next play. So get that teed up is we're trying to take all the emotion out here. All right. Because what we've seen on tape, I'm going to say this, Grant, I don't think the game may necessarily go away. A lot of the fans think it's going to go. I think we just got a little emotionally overwhelmed against Ole Miss. Granted, we even said this going into it. Ole Miss is the real deal. There's no doubt about it. I'm just not seeing that from Texas just yet. I would have to see that happen. I would be shocked if Arkansas gets blown out in this game, pending everyone is healthy and it's a fair matchup. Now, things obviously change, and we can't really predict that. But just from what we've seen on tape this year, you take that Ole Miss game out of it, we're having a different conversation leading up to this Texas game. But what you got next for the next clip?
Yeah. So later on, second quarter, 4 minutes left, 4:01 left, and we see it again. Number 56, he's getting a little bit kind of dip outside, right? And the quarterback's feeling the pressure. He's kind of got that clock in his head. We talked about how quick they want to get the ball out. If they can't get it out, they start to panic a little bit. And so on this one, it looks like Georgia tries to run a little bit of a game. Unfortunately, they run it into the slide protection. But the right side of the offensive line's in man pro quite a bit. And when I say man pro, I mean man protection, which is going to give our guys an opportunity on who I think may be the weak link in the right tackle, just on the clips that I've watched, right? I've not watched every clip since he's been at Texas. So if you come at me in the comments and tell me he's like the best offensive lineman Texas ever had, hey, not from these clips, okay? So I'll just tell you that. But yeah, like I said, man, I think we have an opportunity to get into the backfield a little bit, but it's got to be the right way. I want to hone in on that. We've got to play sound assignment-based defense to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of penetration here by Georgia, and you can see, and this is actually Arch Manning that's in. They feel it. They feel the pressure, and we're going to jump ahead a little bit to some of these Vanderbilt clips, but I can't sit here on the podcast, right? I'm an Arkansas guy through and through, and say, man, I think Vanderbilt has better athletes than we do on the field.
No,
and those guys got pressure on them. Those guys were making TFLs. So, in my mind, we have just as good or better athletes than Vanderbilt, and so it's kind of this "why not us" type of thing in my mind, right? Why not us? Why are we not going to go do this type of have this type of game against their offense?
And the thing about Vanderbilt, Texas got out on them early, very, very early, and then they struggled to score at all in the second half. And so the adjustments were made. Another just interesting thing when it comes to this Texas team of, whenever they come across a team who isn't so much intimidated by Texas, it's a different ball game. And so mentality and tone, like I said, I'm working on getting bigger bats, but, it'll definitely set the tone if you come out here swinging against this team. And they can make it a ball game as long as you don't need to get beat before you even step onto the football field. And unfortunately, some teams, they let Texas do that to them. But you said you're going to go ahead and get to this Vanderbilt clip. What you got?
Yeah, so third quarter, 11:58 left. We got a little bit of a run play here. Looks like a stretch play. And what does Vanderbilt do? They play a sound defense. And they do not get a lot of movement up here. They're trying to run an outside zone, so you can have that issue a little bit. But they just get beat. I mean, beat at the point of attack. We watched ourselves do that a little bit last week. But everything's flowing downhill here, and I really like the way Vanderbilt attacks this. And it looks like, hey, the running backs got nowhere to go. They set a good edge. They string it out, and everything back behind them is coming to flow. Make that there is no cutback, right? Everything's flowing one way, and they're all coming downhill to make a tackle. And, I think Texas maybe is not as aggressive on offensive line as we think they may be, and as talented because their pad level here is atrocious. I mean, everybody on a run play, I remember we used to have to go through those chutes. And if your helmet hit the chute, it was like, you're getting cussed up and down, right? The top of your helmet should never, ever hit these chutes on these run fits. And the first step that these guys take, all 5 helmets, pop straight up, and they turn to run. There is no flat backs. There is no coming off the ball and trying to knock people back. And you can see Vanderbilt plays really, really good with their hands here. And like I said, at the point of attack, and just stands up, can't see the number here, maybe number 75, 76 to left guard. And there's no chance. But if you can just play this thing back and forth, you'll see what I'm talking about. As soon as the ball snapped, everybody popped straight up. And almost to the point where some of the safeties kind of take a hop step because they're like, is this a pass? I don't know. And it's not coming downhill. They can't tell. And if you're strictly run blocking, that's not a great thing. You don't want the safeties dropping back because they think it's a pass.
Yeah, just like I said, some interesting things have popped up. This is an extremely small sample size of what we're getting at. Like I said, we're trying to find a potential weak area of this team that only has one loss on the year. All right, sometimes that's tricky to do, but we're trying our best here. And so, Grant, I'll just go ahead and skip ahead to this next one. I wanted to point this out. This is against Vanderbilt. They're up 24-17. Trying to go ahead and put this game away, and it's a 3rd and 9, and it's a nice little draw play, and they get inside the 4-yard line. They're about the 3-yard line. But what I saw is with a chance to go ahead and score at their very own 3-yard line, first down, the next clip I show is a field goal. Vanderbilt held them 3 plays in a row inside their own 3-yard line to make Texas settle for a field goal. That's another telling sign. If you have a dominant football team, they're number 3 in the country, and they are known for having a great offensive line, and you can't punch it in to go win the game. I'm telling you, it's a little telling to me. But before I get your comments on that, and before we get to the other side of the ball, we have to get to our other sponsors who's making all this content free for you. But this is a fun one because even the bettors, the line is slowly shifting. It started off as a much bigger margin of victory for Texas, and it's slowly shrinking. What is happening? And then we're also going to take a look at a returning player, Jaquindon Jackson, what it looks like for him on game day. And we can't talk about the betting world, and I know this may not be for everybody, without talking about the fight that no one saw coming. But here we are. Iron Mike Tyson against probably one of the most loved or hated people on the planet in Jake Paul. So from on that, I had a chance to link up with Zach Gillen from Oakland, and here's what we have to talk about. All right, it's time to go ahead and take a little bit closer look at this Arkansas-Texas game as we bring in Zach Gillen from Oakland. First of all, love the background, love Oakland. Can't wait for Derby Day. That background got me pumped up. But let's pump the brakes on that. Let's focus on this weekend, Zach. So when I did our picks here on 4th and 5, I believe that was Sunday night, the Arkansas-Texas game opened up with a line of, what was it? I think 15.5. It had
Correct.
Arkansas plus 15.5. That has already dropped to 13 as of yesterday. Has it changed anymore? And what does that mean? Does that mean maybe Arkansas has a little bit better chance in this game?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, I mean, that opened up, as you said, at 15.5. It quickly moved across and actually got to 14 pretty fast, and then 13.5. And now, as you said, sitting at 13 as of Thursday. So that's typically going to be indicating that either A, there were some players that we thought weren't going to play for Arkansas that are playing, or B, it could be some action induced. From what I saw, I do think it was some action that was being taken on the Arkansas side that caused that to move a little bit towards Arkansas's favor, and then it stayed there throughout the week. So, I mean, yes, in my mind, that would indicate Arkansas does have a little bit better chance anyway than we thought as of Sunday's line.
Well, you talked about things changes as we get injury updates. Jaquindon Jackson sounds like he's going to be back on the field in 100%. Obviously, our best back so far this year. So let's see what he's going to do in the game against Texas. What's he set at as far as the over-under in rushing yards?
Yeah, so looking at his rushing yards, currently at 56.5 on the main number. Now, keep in mind we have alternate lines, so you can take that down, take that up, and the odds will move accordingly. And then for anytime touchdown score right now, he is expected to score a touchdown minus 177.
Okay, I mean, he's pretty good at getting the ball in the end zone, that's for sure. So that could be a solid option for a lot of people out there. I just want to remind people, too, that any questions y'all have for Zach when it comes to this world of sports betting, please leave comments, and he'll take care of you and get you all set up. And as much as I just want to talk about football, I have to bring this up, Zach, because it's going to be one of the biggest talkers, the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. this thing actually is going to happen. All right.
Yes.
So, and people can get in on the action of this game. I personally, Zach, I think I want to stay away from this one, but I know a lot of people want to hop right into this one. So what do those numbers look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to ask, have you watched any of the Netflix special that they put out in the last couple days?
I haven't. Would that make me want to get up on this?
I think it might make you a little more interested. I highly recommend. So
Okay.
I was intrigued going into it. I think a lot of people, they want to see Jake Paul get knocked out. They want to see Iron Mike come back with some power that we saw in the 90s.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. Well, the odds right now, it's actually interesting. So Jake Paul at one point was as heavy as a minus 330 favorite in this fight. He's all the way down to minus 182.
Wow.
So the money has been going towards Tyson. The money we're seeing at Oaklawn has been on Tyson. He is a plus 170 underdog on the three-way market right now. He's plus 160 on the two-way market. So what that means is for every $100 you bet, you would profit 160.
I mean, that's insane for a guy that is 58 years old going up against somebody who has, I think he's Paul still under 30 years old.
Yeah, he's 27 or 28.
Oh, my gosh. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. So that will obviously be a really fun one to kind of pay attention to. And obviously, y'all got a lot more when it comes to that world as well. So many things outside of Arkansas. I try our best here on 4th and 5, just focus on the Arkansas games and some big college football games. But when you got Iron Mike Tyson stepping back in the ring, might as well, right? So y'all taking on the action on that. Zach, I appreciate you once again, man. I'll check in with you next week.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
I mean, Grant, would you hop in a ring with Mike Tyson? I mean, he's 58 years old. 58.
I mean, they're talking about a bag. I mean, both of them are going to walk away from the. However, it
okay. You would hop in there if you're going to get the money. I would too. I'd go and take that knockout happily. Yeah, walk around with a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker.
No, I mean,
you have to last 2 rounds, and if you get knocked out or you tap out, you don't get $1.
I couldn't last 2 rounds. I don't think if you just put me in there by myself and told me I had to move around like a boxer for 2 rounds.
No. Take the conditioning out of it, Grant. It's only 2-minute rounds. They're only doing 2-minute rounds. You think you could not get knocked out?
Here's the thing, man. Everybody thinks, to get knocked out, you got to get hit on the chin.
Oh, no.
No.
You get that good body shot. Ooh.
Oh, dude, he hits you in the liver, and you're waking up Sunday morning in the hospital thinking like, hey, did I make it 2 rounds? I mean, dude, and you listen to so I've seen some clips on this. I've been kind of following a little bit. I'm definitely going to watch it, right? Because I mean, it's Iron Mike. I mean,
might as well, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so they had Roy Jones Jr. and a couple guys on a podcast, and Roy Jones Jr. was talking about how he was like, back in the day I fought Mike or whatever, and I would have never admitted it back then, but I was terrified. And he said, one of the promoters came in and was like, hey, man, y'all don't try to go out there and knock each other's heads off. And Roy's like, what else does he know?
Yeah,
there is no temperature gauge with him. It's either you've seen him on podcasts. He's 50 years old, but
he's different.
He talks about how he has suppressed all of that all these years, and he can't let that guy out again because hell's coming with him. And I mean, but when he gets in that boxing ring, I don't know. He's probably just gonna PTSD just snap back to 1995.
Oh no.
I don't know if Jake Paul knows what he's in for, right? I mean, he's literally in there with a weapon of mass destruction who is Mike Tyson. So clips in his training.
Yeah.
58 years old. He hadn't lost that much of a step.
So it's interesting. Jake Paul's the favorite. And that line has shifted as well after that Netflix docu or whatever came out. So, but man, it's just wild. The 27, 28-year-old going up against a 58-year-old. You would think both boxers who would win, but I guess we'll see. All right, we'll shift away from that. Let's get back to talking football, and we can get through these clips because it's kind of rinse and repeat with these. I think this is the recipe to potentially be competitive against Texas. Their quarterback got out of the pocket a lot, and that's kind of his MO, and Texas really didn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, and I mean, great for us, right? We've got two
Yeah.
quarterbacks that really like to operate outside of the pocket, and I would argue that they're better outside of the pocket than they are inside the pocket. But I see in these clips a little bit of the same thing I just talked about with the offensive line. I don't know what's going on with their D-line and O-line coaches, but they're not teaching pad level. And, with Jaquindon potentially coming back and playing, I'm not sure. Do you know fully if he's back? I mean, as a report,
that's the word on the street saying he is back, ready to go.
So we've got 3-4 dudes that are ready to run the ball, right? And Jaquindon, we know, we've talked about it all year. He makes people miss. He makes people pay. He runs it downhill. And our offensive line, when they can get underneath your pads, we can get some movement. We've seen it this year. And so we'll jump into this clip right here, and I'll kind of point out exactly what I'm talking about. So this is third quarter against Vanderbilt, 5 minutes, 27 seconds left. And I want you to watch the nose guard. When I talk about pad level, he comes straight up, hat pops straight up, and he's just like wanting to hand fight like this. If we're coming off the ball with some attitude and some pissed offness on Saturday, we could probably lift this dude up and plant him 5 yards back.
Ooh.
I mean, it's incredible to me that this is not, and it's a pass play, but he is popping up, man. And, you see it across the line. 95 doing the same thing. So I think there's some opportunity to set a tone early. We talked about how we got to set a tone. You're the hammer or you're the nail. Let's go out there and set the tone early. Fire off the ball. Bring that wood. And,
a little bigger wood than this, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And go out there and really let Texas know, like, hey, we're not scared of the Longhorn on your helmet, right? We're not scared of that number 3 ranking. We're not scared of any of that. And go put it to them, honestly. Yeah.
And the rest of the clips, Grant, that's, like I said, pretty much rinse and repeat for the rest of those. So we honestly don't even have to get to them. And I know the theme that it seems like we're setting up is like, oh, Arkansas should blow this team out. That's not it at all. This is an extremely talented football team. But there are areas that I'm hoping these guys that are watching this and the tape don't let Texas beat you before the game even starts. All right. They're going to, if it's like a boxing match, just kind of sit there. And as soon as that window opens, all you have to do is give them one punch to let them know, hey, I'm here too. And if you don't at least go into that game thinking that, that's how these teams end up losing to Texas. And so,
and something else too, right? I mean, I don't know that Texas really wants to be in a dogfight.
No.
And when they are, do they just cover up and lay down, right? I mean, you see it against Georgia. Georgia, they had some momentum at the beginning of the game and couldn't do anything with it. Now, Georgia's got really good athletes too. They've got some very special football players on their side. But the fact that Vanderbilt blocks them up, quarterback can run where he wants, they're throwing the ball down the field, that goes to show me, to your point, we're not on here saying, oh, watch for Arkansas to come blow Texas out at home. Yeah. But we can hang with these guys if we play a good, solid, clean game. And that's, I think, what we're trying to say here is I don't think it's a 13.5 favorite type of game this weekend if we can take care of business on our end and play clean.
I love it, Grant. Always appreciate your time. A lot to watch to everybody else. And thanks for being patient with us this week on 4th and 5. It's just a little weird week, and it's the bye week, so sorry for getting some things out late. I all got it knocked out. I will say this, though. I did take some time in the bye week to pay attention to what other people had going on, and I came across a podcast. And the reason I wanted to do this is because when I was in Mississippi State, I met Fernando Carmona's parents, and then I saw Fernando on the field after the game, and he ran by and says, 4th and 5, love your podcast, bro. That's awesome, man. And then I heard he was on a podcast, I think with his brother. I could be right or wrong with that. If they're not brothers, they should be. But it's a really good podcast, and it was entertaining. So I think it's called Pin and Pull. A little play on some offensive line play right there. I highly suggest if you are a fan of, just kind of hearing some guys be authentic and raw and talking about some things about college football and getting some good insight. It was really cool hearing Carmona talk about what he's seen on film, how they're preparing for Texas. And he was honest with his approach. Now I will say this is they probably have like a little language thing on there, so be aware of that. But they keep it a little bit more real than we keep it real with the language barrier. But one thing they pointed out, did you hear about Texas's quarterback Quinn Ewers' DMs being leaked?
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, every Barstool, Old Road,
Yeah.
Everybody posting like, man, not a good look, Quinn.
No.
Not a
And
good
the thing
look.
is, what Fernando pointed out was just like, when are we going to learn? Don't do this, fellas. Stop. Now, and we will say it made Quinn Ewers look like a creep, but you can see the girl deleted all of her responses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's clear as a day. But I thought it was pretty cool that Fernando went down that road, especially before playing Texas, right? So, I mean, that's the world nowadays with college football. I mean, with this whole NIL stuff and giving these players liberties, because we couldn't do that back in our day,
No.
And so that's some pretty cool insight. So once again, shout out to Pin and Pool. Y'all go check out their podcast. It's some great content, and I absolutely was a fan listening to their episode over the bye week. All right, Grant, I appreciate your time. Are you gonna be at the game?
I'll be around. So
Okay. I'm getting up early Friday, so if you're free, let's link up. I also want to tell people too, look at Slim Chicken's website and their social media pages. Razorback legend Darren McFadden will be at a Slim Chicken location up in Fayetteville. That'll be Friday. So when you're watching this, and it'll be around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So a chance to go see D-Mac. He may serve you up some chicken wings or chicken tenders, and you may get an autograph or two as well. All right, Grant, I appreciate you, man. I'll see you, if not this weekend, next week.
Sounds good.
All right, bro.